everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. My name is Courtney and I'm a final year PhD student at Imperial College London. In today's video, I want to discuss my PhD stipend. How much do I actually earn as a PhD? They say treat your PhD like a job. Is it actually like a job? Do you get paid like a job? Are you able to save like if you're actually working as a job? We're gonna see. But I'm just gonna tell you straight off the bat that many people say when making a decision to do a PhD, you also need to think about the money you could actually be making while doing a job. But let's not talk about that, because knowledge is power and knowledge is money and knowledge is value. But now let's get into see what I actually make as a PhD student. So first and foremost, I'm going to be breaking down this video into 3 sections, which is what I earn, how it's spent, and what extra money do I make and how I make that. I'm speaking from the perspective of a student that is not self-funded, but one who has a scholarship, is on a studentship, or is on a PhD grant. I myself, I'm on a PhD Commonwealth scholarship, which pays for my tuition and living expenses, which I call the stipend. How PhD students live is based on the stipend. The tuition fees, etc., all go to the university. You really have nothing to do with that unless you're self-funded, or sometimes if you are funded by your government, they will wire all the money to your bank account and you're responsible for paying the tuition fees as well as managing your own living stipend. Now, as it comes to the stipends and scholarships and funding, it varies quite a lot. One of the best scholarships I've come across is the PhD President Scholarship, which gives you a monthly stipend of £2,000. It may sound small, it may sound like a lot to you, but it's actually pretty good in comparison to my stipend and a lot of other student stipends out there. You can also apply for that if you're applying to Imperial for a PhD program and you have stellar grades. Alright, so let's actually get into what do you get as a PhD student. As I mentioned, there's 2 things. There's tuition and living stipend that you may get in your grant. Tuition, nothing is yours. And stipend, that's up to you to manage. In addition to the stipend and the tuition fees, there's also something called consumables. So a lot of the research studentships will have a consumables budget. It ranges from £2,000 to £5,000. For me, my PhD consumables was around £5,000, but that is something that you had to ask for during the negotiation process between your supervisor, the university, and the funding institution. But a lot of other funding institutions just have a specific cap, which is normally around £2,000 for most UK studentships and research programs. The caveat with this is it's your money, but it's not actually your money. So this consumables covers the things that you need at the institution, at your university, to do your research. So for example, that may include a laptop, any tech, any gear that you need, any equipment, any lab materials, and so forth. And anything maybe, sometimes it would cover your travel for conferences, for other activities. So that money, it is yours, but not yours. You normally have to either invoice for it or the university spends it for you. So for some people it's each year, and for some people it's over the 3-year period. So if you don't spend it, it normally goes back and you don't get that. So think about that if you have a consumables budget. Alright, I earn £13.90 per month as a Commonwealth PhD scholar. Since I've started in 2017, it has increased about £30 per year, so roughly £100 between that 3 to 4 year period. I think I started initially at £12.90 or somewhere there, and now we're at £13.90. It increases every year just because living expenses in London increases. But something to bear very much in mind is this would not necessarily be your living stipend across the board in the UK. As I said, it varies, and it varies not just by the funding institution, but by the region that you are studying in. So for example, the Commonwealth, they have a London living rate because everything is ridiculously expensive in London. And then there's a non-London living rate, which is £200 less that you receive. But it doesn't actually add up because rent in London kills your pockets. So let's get into how I actually spend my stipend. This is going to be painful. Living stipend, as I said, is £13.90. And the first thing that comes out of that is normally my rent. Now, rent in London is ridiculous. As an international student, when you go there, it's like, where is the money going? In my first year of my PhD, I was living in a studio in South London, which was pretty far from my university. And that was roughly £885 per month. And that included the electricity, internet. And then I moved to somewhere in the northwest, and I had an ensuite this time. So I only had the bathroom, not my own kitchen, just the bathroom and the bedroom. And that was £800 per month. And then I moved again, and I went to Shepherd's Bush, which was in zone 2. And this time it wasn't as fancy as an apartment, but I was able to save, and I was paying £700 per month. So that is rent, taking more than 50% of my stipend. So next on the agenda is travel. Now London is, I guess, cycle friendly, but I tend to use public transport because I was afraid that the bus would knock me down. But my transport tends to be anywhere from £60, which is a bus pass for the students. Students have a special rate, so that would be your 18 plus Oyster card, and that would be from £60 for the bus pass up to £145 when I lived in zone 5. Next up on what I spend is on groceries. Now, I was the type of person, I cook all my meals, almost all my meals, except when I wanted to indulge. My grocery bill ranged from £100 to £150. That's on the higher end of things. And then I allowed myself like a eating out and leisure budget, because you need to have balance in a PhD. So I allowed myself that budget of £100 for leisure, whether it be movies, food nights, and so forth. And then for personal care, I allotted just about £60, which was whether I needed to buy any face products or anything like that, as well as maybe do my nails or wax. This is an idea of how I spend my PhD stipend. As you can see, this is the lower end and the higher end scale. A lot of the difference really lies within your accommodation and your travel zones that you are in. So your opportunities to save really lie in those two. So it's up to you to choose how you want to spend. But if it is the case that you're not saving enough and you want to make more money, there are a few options out there for you as a PhD student. So I'm an international student, as I mentioned. That means I am on a student visa, and that has a requirement that I can only work a maximum of 20 hours per week. Now, where you work depends on your interest. As a PhD student, PhD candidate, we often have the opportunity to be teaching assistants or demonstrators for different courses in labs, give lectures, etc. So that is one way in which we make money as PhD students. In addition to teaching, there's also things such as fundraising, which I did in my last semester when I was based in the UK. I did fundraising for the telethon, and the rate for that can range anywhere from £11 per hour up to £25 per hour, depending on the load of work that you're taking on and the type of assistance that you're giving. So for example, if I wanted to maximize my 20 hours a week to work for £15 per hour and then at maximum 20 hours a week, that would mean I'll make an extra £300 per week. So that is £1,200 per month. That would be how much I can make as a TA. As I said, it can go above that. Now, what you need to bear in mind is, as a PhD researcher, you don't always have enough time to dedicate 20 full hours a week, so you may not make that much. I only ever really gave maximum of 6 hours per week to teaching and demonstrating because I needed to spend a lot more of my time doing my research. Now I come to a very important point, which is taxes. For our PhD stipend, we generally do not pay taxes on a PhD stipend, so that is tax-free. But any income that you earn separate from that, from teaching, etc., you're going to have to pay taxes on. However, in the UK, there's a personal allowance bracket, so you don't pay any taxes. If you earn less than 12,500, you don't have to pay any taxes on that. Keep that in mind as an international student, the 20 hours per week limit, as well as the personal allowance and how much you earn before you're being taxed. So per annum, you can earn anywhere around £16,000 based on your stipend. And then if you do anything additional, maybe like an extra £1,000 for the year, depending on how busy you are and what you want to get up to. So for me, I've earned roughly £17,000 per year as a PhD student. And as you can see, most of it goes to my rent. I hope this was an interesting video to give you an idea of how you may spend or end up spending your PhD stipend as a PhD researcher and the opportunities for earning additional income along the way. Alright, let's hope your bank account stays green like these leaves or those leaves, and I'll catch you in the next video.